I was able to see the person I was looking for. Not because of his fursuit head, which was mounted on a drying rack sitting behind at the back wall, but because of his convention badge that said Twitch. So I made my introductions and I asked my question. Rules? I mean, yeah, they're rules. I mean, they're not like rules, okay? Like, you know, nobody's going to come and break your knees with a baseball bat if you don't follow them. I guess some of us think they're kind of important. Like, I mean, there's a big one, like, you don't talk unless the mouth of your head moves or you can see your mouth. That's a big one. The other one's what everybody kind of makes fun of and calls don't break the magic, which, okay, look, if I'm in this costume, right, I'm in this big wolf head thing, and I'm playing with you, and you're out there and you're playing back. Now, you and I both know, as rational human beings, that there's no such thing as a giant wolf on two legs standing there playing with you, but we agree to act like there is one. So if you walk up, you're standing there and you take your head off in front of that same person, it's like, to me, you walked up behind that character, put a gun to his head and pulled the trigger, bang! Kills it, absolutely dead. Now, okay, the thing about these is, yeah, they're fun. They're big cuddle balls of fluff. We go around, we hug people, whatever, and we make people laugh. But it's not always frivolous. There are some people who get a real, it's the only positive thing that's going to happen in their day, that they get to interact with a giant stuffed animal. And imagine it's even worse if it's a kid. You know, this one ray of sunshine in this kid who's got a bad home life. Which is why I get really upset when I see a fursuiter who won't interact with a kid or they put on a half-assed performance. It makes me really mad. You know, let me tell you a little story. You know? Before I got my suit, I took a job as the Easter Bunny. First job I got sent out on was to this children's home. And I thought, okay, you know, I'll go do the orphanage of little kids. When I got there, I found out that it wasn't so much an orphanage as it was a home for abused kids. So there were a lot of kids there that were, you know, 15, 16, 17. They didn't give a crap about the Easter Bunny, so fine. But there were a few little kids running around. I focused my attention on them. And this one little girl ran up to me with eyes big as saucers. She said to me, "Are you a real wabbit? I've never seen a wabbit that looked as real as you before." Yes, I certainly am. She took me by the paw and pulled me over to a picnic table and sat down on my lap and kept asking me questions. You know, first off, she was trying to get me to admit that I wasn't real. She was trying to trip me up. But the more I answered her questions, the more and more convinced she was that I was really the real thing. She finally left when it was time for the big Easter egg hunt, and the first thing that happened, I get surrounded by a wall of staff staring at me. What did you say to her? What did she say to you? What did you do? Look, I'm out here in front of God and everybody with your permission. You trying to accuse me of something? And the little old lady that was the head in charge of the staff said, "Oh, no, we're not trying to accuse you of anything. We're sorry. We didn't mean to make you think that. It's just that Linda was very seriously abused not very long ago, and she's been here 6 months. She hasn't said a word to anybody except for you." So I did my best to tell them what we've been talking about, which wasn't easy. And when Linda came running back up with the big stuffed rabbit that she won for winning the Easter egg hunt, she gave me a big hug, jumped back up on my lap, got a picture made, and she was talking the whole time. The staff was standing about 10 feet away, smiling and giving me the thumbs up. When I left, she was still talking, only she was talking to them instead of me. They were all crying. And so was I. I ain't ashamed to admit it. So when I see a fursuiter out ignoring kids or giving a half-assed performance, I get a little cold and dead inside. Fursuit is a big responsibility. It's magic. So no, I ain't gonna say, you know, you gotta follow the rules. That ain't my place. But you're not going to get any points with anybody else if you don't. Sure as hell not with me. I walked out of there with my head kind of in a fog. I kind of half listened to a panel on writing furry fiction with that nice author I had bought the book from. And then I watched some of what I can only term was the furry version of the Olympics. A bunch of fursuiters were doing activities like the most violent game of musical chairs I'd ever seen. Trying to rush a ball down between cones with a broom. But there was no real competition. They were stopping just as often as they were trying to beat each other. They were trying to play to the audience. It was so energetic to watch. By the end of the weekend, it came time for closing ceremonies, and I went with Rekka, and Kage stepped up on stage, who, as it turns out, is the convention chairman. And he talked about attendance and the theme for next year and year-over-year growth and attendance. And then he talked about the amount of money that had been raised over the weekend for the charity that Anthrocon had chosen, which was a no-kill animal shelter out in Pennsylvania. Between the charity auction and donations, $11,522 was raised in one weekend. I walked out of there crying without really knowing why. Time heals all wounds, especially stupid, short-sighted ones. And I knew after that weekend was over that I wanted to be a part of this loving, crazy, caring, eclectic community of people. And I also, I admit, knew that I wanted to be one of the ones that were in costume. So I commissioned my own suit. 6 months later, it came in. It was like the biggest Christmas present I ever gave myself. The look on my face when I opened the box was better than any time I'd ever opened a present from Santa Claus. To see the character that I created staring back at me with this happy expression, and to realize what had led me there, it was magic. Uncle Kage said it best when he said that if you go to a furry convention, you'll see black people, white people, Asian people, Arab people, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, atheists, rich people, poor people, young and old, all of them gathered together for this event. And we don't see those differences. All we see is another furry. Maybe what species they are. That America has been looking for diversity since it was founded. And we found the diversity that America's always been looking for. And we found it just by being us.